So because I'm a big fat fucker, I usually, if I'm not paying enough attention, waddle a bit when I walk. I was trying to give Squidge a shower, a little wash in the shower. And, you know, I thought I'll save time, I'll also have a shower. So try not to think about that too much.
Tomska has been on the internet for a very long time. And instead of me just listing off his accomplishments, you could just watch this video series he made called The Complete History of Me. Or for more information, you can just check out his second channel, which features many vlogs, and as of today, has become his main focus for content. Best known for his series, ASDF Movie, and Once a Filmmaker. Over the years, Thomas Ridgewell has declined in popularity, health, and effort. This is Tomska. And this is also an ad. Sponsored by Skillshare, you know, a great online learning community, you know, to learn more about your craft. With thousands of classes over design, business, technology, it's a way better use of your time than watching tutorials online where the audio is just terrible.
Alright, so today in Photoshop, we're gonna take a look at this little thing right here.
More affordable than any other service like this one. The annual Skillshare subscription is less than $10 a month. And using this, I'm currently learning things such as how to get better at painting, shooting a character documentary about an Amish man, and even getting better at After Effects. They also have classes on animation. So if any of you, by chance, do animation, you should probably look into that. The first 500 people who sign up via the link in the description get 2 free months of Skillshare Premium. So if Tom is watching this, then he can get unlimited access to all these classes made by experts. And so the user can get better at the content they want to make. But speaking of content, let's talk about Tom's high point. Tom's peak in content, and by peak, I'm talking about how much effort he put into it, would be from 2013 to 2015, citing Sniper Pug as his biggest non-ad production. However, throughout the years he's been on YouTube, the fame has gone to his head a bit, considering that he began to have a mindset that he must help people. From virtue signaling to just complaining about thin privilege on Twitter, Tomska decided to use his platform to make a few sex ed videos. And not on his second channel. I mean, they're on his main channel. He also made a video about saving the net, but instead we're gonna look at this video where he says,
this is YouTube Lo-Fi Week, which is a week dedicated to getting rid of all the high production values and stuff, and just kind of showing that you don't need a really nice camera and stuff to make a fun video. It's just about having fun and doing it.
And we're gonna keep that tidbit in pocket for later. In a vlog, he admitted that convention attendance to his table has dropped significantly.
You know, it's quite a noticeable, like, predictable drop-off. This year we dropped by 60% revenue, and that just goes to show that the people there, the demographic that came to SITSI, by and large, was not there to see me or the likes of me, and it was very jarring.
And with this technically second introduction, Tom stands today with lower effort, a bigger ego, and a major loss in profits. Let's see how this may have occurred. In a vlog, Tom is seen complaining that...
Have you ever noticed that, like, I have a lot of people in my videos, but I'm never in anyone else's videos? Isn't that kind of weird? Oh dear. I mean, I totally did this to myself, but still.
Now, of course, he does get people featured in his videos, such as Markiplier, Jack's Films, and The Odd Ones Out. But you're hard-pressed to find him in other people's videos. Two such people who used to be in Tom's videos were Oni and G and Psychic Pebbles. However, in a now unlisted video called Responsibility on YouTube, Tomska called out a few YouTubers for their irresponsible behavior.
When Onision belittled self-harm, when KSI perpetuated racist stereotypes, and when Oni used homophobic slurs, my issue wasn't so much with them.
I can see that Tom might take offense of this extreme use of the word. However, Tom did make a video with the same sort of joke.
No, Jack has a condition. I can't enter a room without telling everyone that I'm gay. Alright gang, I like wang, knock knock, I like cock. Have you heard the news? I'm into dudes.
Oni publicly called him out on Twitter, then Tom vague posted about it, and then he later apologized to everyone.
But one of the ways I screwed up was literally naming and shaming other creators. That was douchey and ironically pretty irresponsible. It's not.
And along with the original video, he then unlisted this one too, because like every fight that Tomska has, if he doesn't win, he's got to bury the evidence that it actually happened. Another such fight was when Psychic Pebbles publicly called out Tom for not properly paying him. But good luck finding proof of that mess. On r/Sleepy Cabin, there are posts documenting their feud with Tom, but it's clear that even after the departure, Tom is still a fan of their work.
Tomska, I'm from Poland.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Remembering why Psychic Pebbles actually sounds like that?
They get to ask questions like, why does Zach's voice sound all fucked up?
Stop it!
I'm not kidding, that is...
There's a joke and there's a fucking real line.
There it is.
Alright?
From Pale Hound.
Pale Hound, take your money, I don't fucking want it. Alright? This isn't a joke even.
You could say that Tom is making fun of someone's disability. But speaking of Sleepy Cabin, again, in the Tomska Master Post, Tom claims that he ran the sex ed videos by his audience, but he didn't. The tweets he shows actually are promoting the video, rather than asking, hey, should I make this? I say this because when Spazkin in 3D publicly called out Tom, saying that he shouldn't make those videos, Tom argued with him, proving that he likes to hear himself talk, and any mention of running it by his audience is just Tom looking for another voice that happens to be his. Noting another side of Tom is something mentioned in the Tomska Master Post, which he created this year. He details a time where, during a panic attack, he emailed a few of his friends/workmates and yelled at them, telling them that he doesn't want to be their friends anymore. Speaking of work, if you're a fan of his old videos, then you might remember someone called Bing his best friend at the time. Prior to their unfriendship, Bing told Tom to not date his sister, to which Tom didn't care. And he even made a video with Bing to tell him that he's dating his sister.
Chris, I know this is hard for you to hear, but I'm dating your sister.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whoops!
That's just mean. And then only after a year of dating, they broke up, which would explain why Bing had been absent for many a video. In the same post, Tom claims that they have reconciled their differences, but without Bing voicing his opinion, this could just be Tom fibbing the truth so no one goes sleuthing about it. However, today, Tom is dating someone, and she does seem pretty happy with him. But I did notice in this one video...
I'm trying to be like a serious kid. Are you going to also eat that?
What do you think, Squidge?
Oh, okay. That's a new low for this channel.
Absolutely delicious.
Oh my god.
Good. Oh, it's actually really good.
Please give me some more, but don't actually because it's probably going to kill me.
No, if it kills me first, motherfucker! Even though my mental health has been on the up lately, I've had a really tough time keeping my temper in check. My eating and drinking habits have shifted, and my usual pacifiers, the things that help me stay calm, haven't exactly been on the menu. So I'll get that right out, is that my mental health has actually been on the up for about a year now. I'm feeling okay. I can't blame depression on being a lazy piece of shit. You know, I've been taking my meds.
Tom has gained weight. And previously, he actually has tried to lose it, but to no prevail. However, if you note in his video, Fat Loser, the fattening, he says,
but when your weight begins to negatively affect your health, either through being too little or too much, then it's probably time to reevaluate the situation, because right now, I am killing myself, both physically and emotionally.
I'm pointing this out because during a recent vlog, he fainted.
I feel so completely overwhelmed. Fuck, I'm about to faint.
Oh, okay, that was weird. Let's let's move on.
I am healthy.
Also in another video, he mentions that he has no health issues regarding his weight, except immediately after he talks about his normal chest pains.
My weight's never really affected my health until maybe last night. I was laying in bed and I woke up with this searing pain in my chest, and it's not uncommon for me to get, you know, chest pains, maybe in a lung or anywhere from sleeping funny, or you know, it just happens sometimes at random.
He goes to the hospital the next day and says he wants to change and stop complaining.
Happy this way, but I also don't want to complain about it because I don't want to, you know, complain because I don't have a right to if I'm not making a change. But one is severely overdue.
A problem with Tomska always sharing is that he's very open about his issues.
The truth is, the money doesn't come in like it used to. Ad revenue is down, merch sales are down, and I haven't had a brand deal, which is where, you know, a lot of our income comes from, in about 10 months.
As mentioned before, Tomska has complained about merch sales, which can be easily correlated to his upload schedule on his main channel. And at the date of this video, his main channel only has 8 new videos, with his newest one most likely to be his last until sometime in 2019. 4 of them are live action, and the other 4 are animated. But the problem with Tom's newer content is that, due to his ego, most of the live action skits are basically just Tom standing around. And what I dub the Tomska formula, which can be seen in many of his videos, goes as follows. Tom in second person are standing still talking. Something is off. It could be something as magical, or even just a small misunderstanding. And lastly, Tom is either the dumb one or the cynical one. And you can see this in videos, which, not limited to, of course, Big Fat Monster, Crybaby, Magic Spoon, Christmas Delivery, The Orb, The Hole, Literal Drinks, Fireman, The Alien, Tell Me Something I Don't Know, The New Kid, Meanwhile, etc. You'd think I cherry-picked the results, but all of the live-action skits of this year, at the day of this video of course, all use the Tomska formula. However, the one that NerdCubed is featured in does have a slightly better production value compared to the rest, but that could just be that Tom was trying to impress him so that Tom could appear in his channel, but we'll see where that goes. However, there are skits that use this formula that do actually work, such as ones made by Key and Peele. However, unlike Tom, they actually put effort in their writing to make the setup feel different. But if you want to see something that deviates or differs from the Tomska formula, you have to give Tom money. And considering that Tom hasn't had a brand deal in over a year, which could be how advertisers viewed his last one, where he mentioned that it was an advertisement at the very end of the video. He didn't show gameplay footage of the actual game he was playing, and the whole ad was 10 seconds long.
Hey you, this video was sponsored by the game Battle Cats, which you can download for free using the link in the description below. It's got cats and they're battling. What more could you want?
Man, if I was the guy who paid Tom to make that advertisement, I would be pissed. But even in the content itself, when Tom does have a budget, you as an advertiser would be hard-pressed to make Tom do anything outside of standing still, which is a massive contrast to the original one, where you can see Tom not standing still. But the content that Tom has been making now is the type of content that you'd always see people who are handsome or already popular would actually make, that people would be interested in. Basically just ask me to do this, and I will. And in a vlog, Tomska has admitted that his series, #content, was the first thing to start making a profit on his second channel.
And content, actually. Content is the first time I've been able to turn a profit on Dark Squidge.
Which can be seen why he delved away from his main channel, which forced him to stand up, and now goes to his second channel to make a profit because he doesn't have to stand up anymore. Maybe for a goof, if I made a second channel, it's just me standing up all the time. Then I wouldn't be a hypocrite. When researching this video, I took time to watch every single piece of content on his second and main channel. And boy, did I make notes based on those videos. One series that took the most time to watch was his Last Week series, where he documents his life for everyone to see. And I actually stopped watching this video series when Tom said this.
And ideally, I want to keep them to around the 10-minute mark instead of 25 to 30 minutes, which they currently are at, because it is a long video, and even I wouldn't watch it. And I want Last Week to be an interesting experience that isn't so full of depressing moments. And
Tom expressed that because his previous vlogs are too long, even he wouldn't watch them. Then immediately after that, every video was longer and sometimes even more than 40 minutes, so I gave up watching that series because if Tomska thinks it's a waste of time, then I won't watch it. However, I did watch the final Last Week and did watch his monthly vlogs, which this transition could have been because his staff was complaining that they were editing too much. I mean, Tomska's still filming himself every day, so it's not too much trouble on him. Speaking of not much trouble on him, Tom's main channel can be seen as a shadow of its former self. Noting that in a video he made for YouTube Lo-Fi Week, he told his audience that they don't need money or a particularly good camera to make a funny video. And in a vlog, he did say that his older sketches were cheaper to produce, while his main ones are costing a lot more.
Making a sketch, a live action sketch, costs maybe, well, it costs about £1,000 a minute, so about £3,000 for your average sketch, and maybe it'll make £1,000.
Funny thing is that in a vlog, he admits that he recently purchased a fursuit costing over £1,000 just to walk around a convention.
Over the course of 15 days to make this costume. So the fact that I spent over £1,000 on it should come as no surprise.
He also admitted that he doesn't know what to do with the fursuit now, so consider that potential 1-minute sketch to be gone to existence, because instead of spending that money on his main channel, where he could have turned a profit, he used the money for a video on his second channel. Speaking of that, in a vlog he admits that he thought about making storytime animations.
One thing we've been, tossing the idea around with is storytime animations, the kind popularized by YouTubers like Jaden Animations, The Odd Ones Out. I've got a lot of interesting stories to tell, interesting experiences at conventions, crazy adventures I've had when drunk, just...
He states that these videos would be edgier than the traditional stories, and considering that most of his videos involve guns, and there was that one time he posted a nude of himself, I'd say that might be true. But the desire to make storytime animations stems from his oversharing side, as we already have vlogs, his thoughts, and opinions that if Tom adds one more thing, it would feel like a self-imposed Truman Show, but instead of everyone watching him for enjoyment, people watch to see how he screws up next. Speaking of that, he made a series called Crash Zoom. It is no secret that Tom used to be a part of a web series called Ed's World, and that his late friend Ed Gould, who created the series, inspired Tom to be creative, but he inspired him in the wrong aspects. Instead of creating what Tom wants to make, he decided to transition to animation because it's easier on him. Crash Zoom has been in the works for many years now.
For about 3 years, every single animator I brought on board with the project would try it for a bit and just quit. The opening sequence alone was animated or illustrated by 5 different people, and basically, it was just impossible to get the show off the ground.
And it's quite clear that this is a passion project, as the series revolves around a filmmaker not listening to other people and goes around wreaking havoc while trying to produce his movies. Tom created a Kickstarter for the second series. He asked for £25,000 from the fans and said that he'd pay £25,000 out of pocket.
I would like to make another 30 minutes of Crash Zoom in the form of 3 full-length episodes, and I would like your help with covering exactly half of those costs. £25,000 of the £50,000 total budget.
Judging by the very accurate price chart, you can see the money is being divided well. Well, not really. I mean, if you look into the series, it's actually wasting his company's time and money. And he's also wasting his loyal fans' money, all this number of them. If we only stick to the £25,000 that he gave to the project and equate it to film, his project can only be considered successful if he made back the money he invested and then some. 25,000 divided by 3 is about 8,333.33 repeating out of his company's pocket. That is how much money he's investing per episode of the series. Unlike ASDF movie, which rakes in the cash and, at the lowest, has only received 13 million views. And the first episode of Crash Zoom only made this number of views. Keep in mind that this first episode is actually used to promote the Kickstarter. It's not actually an episode from the Kickstarter. You could say that this is a timing issue and that I should wait, but ASTF movie has been out for 3 months, and Firing Squad has been out for over half a year. If we go by Social Blade's analytics, which can be tricky, we'll do our best in estimating how much money it potentially got. That particular episode made about this much money, and if we count that episode as one of the 3 potential ones that he created with the Kickstarter, between these 2 amounts, Tomska is still receiving a net loss either way. Noting that more people want to see his ASDF movie series, I can safely say that the next 2 hypothetical episodes will get about as much views as this one got. If you triple the amounts that he lost, then at this point in time, Tomska won't make a net profit. Well, maybe he will in the far future. And to make it worse, for the people who actually invested in this, in a vlog, Tom admits to writing the scripts after receiving the money from Kickstarter.
So today is our first day officially working on the first episode of Crash Zoom Season 2. I was working on a different episode, but I decided to make it into a comic instead, and now we're starting one I've wanted to do for a few years now. Working title, Turtle Man.
Which is a bit off when Tom said this in the Kickstarter promotion video.
Ultimately, I want to keep the show going because I love making cartoons. I have stories I want to tell and places I want to take these characters. I just want to keep...
But I guess for a passion project that Tom really wants to make, he only tends to have ideas at hand when money is involved. I'm pointing this out because on Twitter, Tomska had the audacity to try and give Mr. Renner some advice about making a narrative cartoon when his own cartoon is wasting his company's valuable time and money. Going back to the Kickstarter that Tom made, he did have an excess amount of money that he's now using to make comics without a set end date, and says that if these 3 episodes go over well, he'll make another Kickstarter.
Shortly before releasing the 3rd episode, I'd like to do a second Kickstarter, very similar to this, but maybe with a few lessons learned along the way, and we'll make those other 3. But again, that'll be entirely up to whether or not I do a good job. If you want to continue backing us,
A few years ago, Tomska made a book called Art is Dead, which showcased some ASDF comics. Now, there's nothing wrong with that book, but it's actually something that I would have preferred over the Edwin's Out's book. in its current state, of course. Meaning that I would have rather had loved to purchase a book from the Ottawan's out featuring his old comics instead of, however, to create something that Tom actually cared about, Tom had to sign a 2-book deal. Problem is, after the first book was released, he stopped answering his publisher's calls. Until one day, the publishing company called back and said,
and then I did nothing for 2 years.
Until we had a strongly worded email or two, and they were like, oh, okay, we do it now.
Yeah, the publishers were like, we want you to give the advance back if you don't write the book. So I was like, Eddie, help me, Eddie.
he didn't have any ideas for them and just made up this book on the spot.
So I went into a meeting with my book publishers and they were like, what's your second book? And I panicked and made up this idea on the spot. Basically, I did a video
Which shows in his writing. The story is about a small child named Sam who wants to kill Santa. Being the first short film he's made in 8 years, Tom is quite proud of this book and animation, but that didn't deter him in his normal hatred-seeking habits, considering that down below he's complaining that people dislike his book. He cites that they have a different opinion, saying that people are angry because he used the pronouns they and their for the main character. Tom created what he calls the I Hate Tomska master post to clear the air from his audience. This can be proven as he's mentioned the post on his second channel, as his main goal was to get the people who hate him to read the post.
Very long. I found it on 4chan. I don't know which board, but just in one of those archival things. And it was this massive blog post that basically began with, like, you know, saying, Tomska, I know you're going to read this because you check your indirects, you've exposed that. And I could tell it was going to be mean. But that post was the proof I needed that the master post has worked. It has at least been received by someone. And so I didn't read the post, because fuck that noise.
Now, I couldn't find the specific thread that these people are talking on. However, it's more of Tom admitting his faults and then ignoring people when they try and help. As instead of fixing his major faults, Tom decides to make jokes instead, as noted in his health, as noted previously in the video. Going more into his health, in the post he acknowledges being an asshole, bully, and manipulator, and has thoughts about considering anger management therapy, which I hope he does consider.
I feel like there's some inherent desire for conflict in me, an itch that's gone unscratched for a few months now, and is that messed up? I just really want to have a fight with someone. Not a real fight though, because I know I'd lose that.
Tom was once a famous, popular YouTuber. In the past, he's made many successful skits, and even to this day, his ASTF series is pretty still well loved. However, his newer content has shifted because of his overall lack of effort and just self-indulgent nature, considering his focus is a vlogging channel now. However, in a recent tweet, Tomska said that he does want to get back to making sketches, but I'm not going to hold my breath, considering that if or whatever he makes will probably also fit the Tomska formula. Now, I was suggested by a friend to look into Tom, because when I was a kid I always saw maybe a handful of sketches in about 3 ASTF movies, and I saw maybe a few or very little Ed's World shorts because I guess it wasn't really my thing back then. Now, Tom might be angry when he watches this video, which I know it will, considering that he constantly checks up on his name every day, and he even has an app for it. Jax Films recently made a video about his burnout, and with him being a YouTuber for over 10 years like Tomska, it's completely understandable.
And long story short, I just want to make videos that excite you again, and excite me again. And I hear some of you, I'm sure a lot of you guys are saying, dude, just get rid of Yai, quit Yai. I don't think that's fair. I'm honestly proud of a lot of Yai episodes we've done.
He wants to make the content that not only his audience, but himself can be proud of. Tom, looking at your main channel and your second channel, are you proud of your content? Thank you for watching, and have a good.